everybody, to the weekly reset. I'm Jen Brown, and I'm so glad you're spending a few minutes with us tonight. Tonight's topic is getting back to school, getting back to structure. Before we dive in, though, let's see who's in our classroom tonight. Put something in the chat if you're joining live with us. Obviously, if you're listening to the replay, that's not possible. But I want to know, is there anybody here this evening that's actually going back to school yourself? Do you have kids or grandkids going back to school? And who has absolutely nobody going back to school, but you're ready to get yourself back into a little bit more structure after summer? There's just something about that time of year that feels like a reset, isn't there? I actually started my career as a music therapist and then spent years as a music and choir teacher. And so my three kids went through our classical school that I taught at, but this was really like my kids, all 300. And I really see myself now as a teacher of metabolic health. So even though I'm not directing all those big choirs and putting on these big shows, after I lost 55 pounds in 6 months on our reset program, over 11 years now, I couldn't help but link arms with my friends and family to help them feel their best. However, this time of year always brings a little bit of anxiety and remembering that feeling of going back to school. So I want to just invite you to come back to the classroom with me, right? I I just feel like this time of year brings back so many of those fun memories. But tonight we're going to really dive in because let's be truthful. Summer is wonderful. We travel, we vacation, we barbecue, we stay up later. Anybody? Our schedules change. We're making memories with our family, but sometimes our healthy routines, let's just say they get a little summery too. And then fall comes, right? Schedules start filling back up, and we think, okay, but how do I get myself back into some sort of structure? And that is what we're talking about tonight. And so we're going all the way back to school, the ABCs. We're going to use the ABCs to help you get back into the structure. However, one thing I want you to know, structure isn't about making life rigid. It's about creating a framework that makes healthy choices easier, even when life gets busy. And these three simple ABCs can help us create that. So before we dive in and give you all the tips and tools, I'm going to have you meet your classmates. I brought some pretty amazing people to here with us tonight to help us talk about these ABCs. And so I want to welcome to the webinar Sean and Missy Sorter and Stephanie Whitaker. Welcome, you guys. Glad that you're here. Yay. All right, so let's dive in, you guys. Before we dive into the ABCs, I would love to just have a little opportunity to get to know each of you. Give us a short version of who you are, a little bit about your healthy story, and maybe why getting back into structure resonates with you right now. Missy, let me toss it over to you.
Perfect. So I was an athlete, at least I like to think I was an athlete, and I like to run and long distance run, and menopause hit me along with severe osteoporosis, and my rheumatologist said, you're not running anymore. In fact, you're going to be really careful when you do a lot of things. So I started taking hormones, and I got fluffy in places I hadn't been fluffy before, and I wasn't too happy about it. But, being married to a health coach was actually fantastic. And he said, I have this really great thing you should really try. And he was doggone right. So 23 pounds later, and I'm feeling really good. But it was really the structure, honestly, of the program, because I had gotten really used to not living and eating in a structure. And I realized that I couldn't just snag something when I was hungry because it wasn't good for me, right? And so that structure really was huge for me to be able to figure out that my body didn't need to eat like an athlete anymore because I needed to take care of it differently. So that's me. What about you?
Yeah, well, competitive athlete, competitive described more than just athlete. Everything in life is competitive for this wonderful girl. But when I started this program 3.5 years ago, I didn't have any idea what was going to happen. But 33 pounds I lost, my cholesterol cut by a fourth. I had acid reflux and GERD medication I took every morning that I no longer had to take right away. Had knee pain all the time, consistently, and I don't have knee pain anymore. Dealt with sleep apnea, and that's gone. Talk about energy. When I was teaching 7th grade at the time, and the difference between the energy level, before and after was just remarkable. So this program has just been, awesome. And here's the other cool thing for me. Since this company has now gone to Trilivy, and we're talking about metabolic health, I realized my visceral fat was not where I needed it to be. It's not about just weight on the scale. So I'm actually lower today than I was at my goal weight 3.5 years ago. So that's really what we're doing. And Stephanie, tell us something good.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this program changed my life 5 years ago. I remember being such an exhausted mom. I had 2.5-year-old twins at the time, and I remember waking up tired, if that was even possible. And I remember feeling energy crashes in the middle of the day and just surviving the day. And so when I started this program, I didn't have much hope, but I remember that day 4 feeling when my body hit fat burn, having the energy for my babies. And as we head back to school structure, like that is so important to me. They are 8 now, and it's important for me to be present and energized. I went on to lose 40 pounds in 4.5 months, but that wasn't the coolest part. The piece that I kept hidden from everyone was mental health. I was struggling pretty severely with postpartum depression and anxiety, and I even had thoughts of ending my own life. And this program has released all of that from my mind. This past winter, I live in Wisconsin, tundra, brutal winters. I have been able to get off my antidepressants for the first time in 6 years. And that has felt like freedom to my family. It has been restoration. I didn't realize how mental health was actually linked to metabolic health. And now I'm just like a firm believer in how life-changing this can be for any mama out there struggling mentally. My husband did this program with me, and he was actually addicted to alcohol. He was drinking like 5 to 7 drinks a night, and he quit cold turkey to just follow the plan. He ended up like giving up alcohol. He lost like 60 pounds in 2.5 months with this, and he reversed his fatty liver and high cholesterol within 30 days of starting this journey. He followed the program to a T. Life kind of happened in the past 5 years, and then he made a decision 2.5 years ago to go completely sober. That has been life-changing for our family as well. So when we think about back to school structure, it's so important for my husband and I to be fully present and energized for our kids. That's why we contend for our health to this day.
Wow, you guys, what fantastic stories. And I see so many encouraging comments for all of these stories. And Sean, you were actually a teacher. Missy, so were you actually, right? So like we have that in common. And though we're not currently in the classroom, don't you this time of year feel a little bit of that? It's back to school, right?
Yeah.
But Stephanie, I know too, when you've got twins, like getting them into structure, it's all of this is just so important. And as you said, Stephanie, just being able to really make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, we're putting the oxygen mask on ourselves so that we can help care for those that are maybe in our family, or if you're a teacher, or you know what, even if you're not a teacher, and you're not going back to school, if you have a job and you want to be present for it, I think getting into structure after the summer craziness is really going to help you. So you guys, let's dive in tonight to our topic. I'm excited to learn from you guys. Missy, let's start with you. We're going to talk about and we want to encourage people to, of course, anticipate. You guys spent, as you just shared, years juggling school, work, athletics, your daughter's sports, and all the crazy fall schedules.
Yeah.
What did that teach you about anticipating the situations that are most likely to knock us out of our healthy routine? Talk to us about just anticipating.
So funny that we got the letter A, anticipate, because as teachers, it sort of feels right?
Well, and you talked about teaching. This is my 3rd year not teaching in the classroom. I have a recurring dream that I am in my classroom and it's not ready. And then thankfully I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm no longer doing that wonderful ministry. But yeah, so when we first heard about the back to school theme, this one made a lot of sense to us because I spent 27 years in education. For several of those years, I was an athletic director. We also have twin daughters who played sports from middle school through high school. So for a lot of years, August meant one thing: whatever freedom you thought you had during summer was officially over.
Yeah, they played volleyball, so it started in August. But what we also realized realized is that going back to school, it's not about just going back to school. Maybe you don't have kids, or maybe your kids are grown. Ours just graduated from college. Maybe you're going back to a more structured work schedule like Jen was talking about, or maybe nothing has changed at all, but fall, it just changes our routines. I don't know what it is. It like pumpkin hits Starbucks and suddenly we're like ready for a change. So anticipating it really is just kind of asking yourself what's coming, right? And how do I want to handle it before it actually gets here?
Because back in our school days, we knew what was coming.
Yes.
As an athletic director at a small Nebraska school, I traveled to a lot of games in very rural areas. And when I say rural, I mean you get there and your dining options were a cornfield, a grain silo, and a concession stand. And we know how healthy it is to have concession stand food.
Yeah, we were left with pizza, popcorn, and enough butter to last us until Christmas, and nachos with that cheese.
And you know the cheese we're talking about,
Yeah.
the cheese that I'm not entirely convinced came from a cow.
I don't think it did. Being vegetarians, that made it even harder because we couldn't find decent protein options. It just was impossible. Now, this was long before we'd started the health program, but looking back now, the lessons, it seemed completely obvious, right? We knew the game was coming. We had the calendar for the whole semester, and it had been on the schedule for months.
Exactly. It wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't that the problem wasn't that life surprised us. We just hadn't learned to anticipate it. And that's really what we want people to think about. Look at your week before you're standing in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Where are the spots that could throw you off?
And sometimes anticipation, it begins even before it begins. So think about tomorrow night. So tonight you're going to start thinking about tomorrow. What are you wearing to work? Are you exercising in the morning? When I was working full time, I was up at 5 to exercise. So I had my exercise clothes laid out. So when my alarm clock went, I didn't have to negotiate. So I didn't have to think about other things like what time do I need to leave? What does breakfast look like? What does my eating schedule look like? I always planned ahead the night before because otherwise it was chaos. And you can make a lot of those decisions when you're thinking clearly and not in that fuzzy waking up part where you're negotiating.
Yeah, because morning Sean can be a lot like hungry Sean. Neither of them should necessarily be given complete decision-making authority.
Absolutely true. So maybe you decide the night before that you're going to exercise in the morning. You know where your exercise clothes are going to be. You know what time you're getting up. Maybe you already know what you're taking with you when you leave the house or what time you're going to be having your fuelings. Lay it out. Maybe you know what your morning routine looks like, right down to having the coffee ready to go. Ours is on a timer and it clicked off at 4:50 a.m. every morning because it was perfect that way. The point isn't that everyone has to do the exact same thing. It's that you have to anticipate the next day and then you're not reacting to it.
And that's true whether you're a parent trying to get your kids out the door, a professional heading to work, retired, self-employed, or whatever life has going on for you right now. Ask yourself, what usually knocks me out of my routine? Because chances are it's happened before, and if it's happened before, you know it's going to happen again.
For sure. And don't anticipate tomorrow, anticipate the whole season that's coming. Okay, so we're headed to fall. We just talked about pumpkin, right? Those pumpkin bars and cream cheese frosting. Have a plan before they hit you. The days are going to get shorter. It's going to get colder, especially for those of us in the Midwest. And maybe we've enjoyed our walking outside, but it's going to be dark and it's going to be 35 degrees or colder where Stephanie lives in Wisconsin. You don't have to solve all those details today, but at least start thinking about what that looks like for you.
I remember living in Wisconsin 8 years, very cold.
Loved it.
Okay, and fall brings something else with it, comfort food.
Yeah.
Suddenly everything gets colder, and apparently America collectively decides we need to eat like we're preparing to hibernate until April.
Because we kind of do. And then comes the holidays. And it kind of happens. You get trick-or-treating, so you have the kids' candy, and then right around the corner is Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and you just stumble from one to another. So now start making a plan so you know what to do, right?
That's a big one because it's easier to make that decision now than when somebody puts your favorite fall food 6 inches from your face. That's when anticipation does. You're making decisions when you're thinking clearly instead of asking tired you, hungry you, or it's pumpkin spice season, Josh you, to decide in that moment.
And none of this means that your life has to be rigid. No, not a bit. But we're just saying make every minute count, right, in your schedule. It's actually the opposite of that. A little anticipation gives you more freedom because you're not constantly scrambling when your life happens.
And life is going to happen. There isn't some magical week coming where nobody has a meeting, nobody travels, nobody runs late, the weather is perfect, you're never tired, and apparently nacho cheese becomes a legitimate protein source.
If it becomes a protein source, you hear it here first. So here's our challenge, right? Take 5 minutes, look at tomorrow, look at your week. It's only Monday, so you've got a long lead there. So even look at the season that we're heading into and ask yourself, what do I already know is coming?
And then decide how you want to respond before you get there.
Yeah.
Because so many of our healthiest decisions aren't actually made in the moment.
Yeah.
They're made before the moment ever arrives.
So that's A, it's anticipating, thinking ahead. And once you can see what's coming, then you can figure out what you need to do about it.
Which leads us perfectly to B, be prepared. Jen, tell us about it.
Gosh, you guys, it was just so good. It's really interesting how anticipate and be prepared actually kind of overlap a little bit, right? I think my favorite line of what you said, and lots of people were repeating it in the chat. We know what's coming, we just need to anticipate it. And so that is true. Once we've anticipated that, I don't know, Wednesday's going to be crazy. Wednesday really shouldn't arrive, and then we're suddenly shocked that Wednesday is crazy. Have you ever felt that way, right? So if A is see it coming, B truly is, and a little bit overlapping here, but set yourself up. So the question I'd love to encourage you to write down tonight or to think about is this: how can I make the healthy choice require less thought when life gets busy? Because the truth is, most of us don't suddenly stop caring about our health at 5:30 on a crazy Wednesday, right? But we're tired. You kind of mentioned that, Sean. We're hungry. We're running late, right? And so sometimes the easiest choice tends to win. So part of creating structure is making the healthy choice easier. That's when you think about, having a plan, and to be prepared. I think Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So let's not do that. Let's make a plan so that your future you is the one helping you make that decision. I really want you to think about future you for a minute. Where is he or she going to be this week? Just as the sorters said. What does he or she need waiting for her or him, right? In the kitchen. Are there actually quick, easy choices available, or only ingredients that require a 45-minute Pinterest recipe, right? How about your car? Does it have a water? Does it have that fueling, a shelf-stable backup, right? How about your purse or your work bag, right? Backpack, something available when the day goes longer than expected, right? Work, can you keep a backup there? Restaurants, do you have 2 or 3 maybe go-to orders you already know work for you and work for your goals? So just understand that being prepared doesn't mean carrying your entire kitchen around in a cooler, okay? It can if you're all into the meal prep thing. That was not me. I had my 3 kids, I had 5 jobs and 300 other kids that, I needed to be able to have something simple. But speaking of somebody whose entire routine is changing, I have a special guest myself. I'm going to call in. Today is my son, my youngest son, Christopher, his 19th birthday. And also, yes, happy birthday. Come on in. Also, his first day of college, you guys. And he's going to be balancing college with working at Chick-fil-A. So, hello, birthday boy.
Hey everyone.
This is my son, Christopher. And yeah, there's a lot to balance. So, all right, Christopher, I've got a question for you. Obviously, you're going to be going between college and work and home. What are just some things that you can do to kind of set yourself up so when you're hungry or the day runs long? And I know you've lived with a health coach. I'm sorry, but I do love you, and I'm glad that the things I've learned has been, trickling down to my own children. But when you have long days and they're longer than expected, like, you don't want to figure it out in the moment. What are some things that you can do to set yourself up?
Well, I definitely need to plan ahead. Bringing quick things, snacks, fuelings especially, and I've done a lot better with that in the last 6 months, year. But having those things ready in the morning and bringing them to work or to school is just amazing, and especially water. I go through probably 4 of my 32-ounce bottles every day, and that's what really carries me through work and class, and having those long shifts and just having those things ready, and especially the water, is just
Yeah.
that's what gets you through.
Good. And I love that it's water and it's not like what, and I'm not dissing on your friends, but like the Coke and the Starbucks, which are filled with sugar, right?
Yeah.
I see your friends doing that. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I'm observing. So I'm very glad that your choice of drink is water. Okay, so honest question, as your mother, what are some of the things that I can have available at home that would make it easier for you to grab what you need when you are walking out the door?
Well, what I've learned in the last year, as a senior and even as a junior, is that I don't really like to make my own lunches and food and take the time in the morning to get the whole lunch and snacks ready and all that stuff.
True
I'm
that.
someone who wakes up and just grabs the first couple of things that I see, the first couple of snacks out of the pantry and the fridge, and bring those things. And although those are good, in fact, those are great. I just bigger things are great. And having the feelings that I can just grab and go, that can take the place of bigger food that isn't
Mm,
that might fill you up but isn't great for you.
yeah,
Having those feelings really helps me to just be able to grab and go. Even when I'm going out to hang out with friends, I'll grab something for the car,
nice.
early morning work and school. Found that really helpful. So
Yeah. I remember when I used to pack his lunch. I don't anymore, people. I don't. But I remember thinking I was buying healthy things at the grocery store. And one of the biggest blessings that this program has brought me is to understand that we're sometimes sold a bill of goods on what healthy is just because it says protein on the package. And I thought, oh, I'm getting my kids healthy food. And when I started to really dive in and look at what was underneath it, I realized, and I apologize, I just didn't know. But I used to put stuff that I thought was healthy and it really wasn't. So then when I think about setting you up for success, I know your blood sugars were probably all over the place because things weren't really balanced. So, um, last question, be honest. If you don't prepare ahead, Christopher, what are you probably going to do? Be honest.
I don't know, might just grab, healthy something from Taco Bell. I'm kidding.
Do they have healthy at Taco Bell?
Here
Maybe
and
they
there.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty, but I'm really proud of you and I'm proud of the choices you're making and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. Love you.
Thank you, everyone. Great to be here.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So here's the truth. That's real life, you guys. We don't prepare because we expect everything to do, to be perfect. We prepare because we know it won't go perfectly throughout your day. So sometimes structure is as simple as making the choice that we want to make a little easier than the choice we don't, right? So I'm going to toss it over to Stephanie. And Stephanie, would you bring home our C and create consistency for us?
Absolutely. Okay. So I want you to drop in the chat tonight and comment me if this summer has thrown you off your routine just a little bit, like later nights, vacations, kids being home, eating at random times, maybe movement or water hasn't looked quite like it normally does. Okay, here's what I want you to hear. You don't have to wait for life to actually settle down to get back to your rhythm, okay? Because does life ever actually slow down? I mean, let's be honest. No. There's always going to be another busy season. And so after we anticipate what's coming and now we are prepared for it, now we can talk about creating consistency in our life, okay? So consistency is not perfection. Consistency is actually creating a rhythm that you can keep coming back to when life gets crazy. So I want you to think for a second. When you feel your best, what are some things that you're doing consistently? Drop one of those things in the chat. Maybe you're eating consistently. Maybe you're drinking your water, as Christopher just talked about. Maybe you're moving your body, getting enough sleep, starting your morning well, staying connected with your coach or your community. What is your thing that makes you feel like yourself again? Because most of us know what really helps us feel good, but the challenge isn't actually knowing. It's continuing to do those simple things when life gets full. And this is actually really personal for me right now because I'm a mom of 8-year-old twins heading back to school next week. And summer's been amazing for us. We've traveled, we've made memories, and we've had later nights and longer days that look completely different from one another. But as we head back to school, I don't want our health to be one more thing that we have to try to fit in. I want it to be part of our rhythm for our family because it gives us energy, it gives us joy. So my kids are watching that. And actually, come here, you two. I want to bring them on for you.
More kids, yay!
More kids. These are my 8-year-old twins. Do you want to say your name?
Clayton.
Clayton.
And my name is Kat.
And your name is Callie. This is their first time on Zoom, so thank you for welcoming them in their debut. Kids, what is one question that mom asks you every single morning? Do you want a
Healthy pudding, healthy oatmeal, or healthy brownie?
Do you want a healthy pudding, a healthy oatmeal, or a healthy brownie? I give them choices every morning. So, Clayton, what's your favorite?
Healthy pudding.
Healthy pudding. Yeah, Callie, what's your favorite?
And
The-
healthy oat.
The oatmeal, yes. And we just got back traveling to South Dakota as a family. And what was like your favorite adventure out there? What did we do together?
Going to Mount Rushmore.
Going to Mount Rushmore. And we rode horses and we went in a cave and we went swimming. And mommy and daddy would not have been able to do those things if it wasn't for our health. So I want you to think about the life that matters most to you. And we want energy this school year, right? Is that why we eat healthy as a family? Yes. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Those are fantastic tips,
love
you
you.
guys, and great choices on those fuelings. Oh, I love that consistency. What a great time tonight, you guys. 1 minute takeaway, not even 1 minute. Like, what's your biggest tip as we wrap up, Sean?
Stay connected with your coach, guys. Like the number one thing I've seen, the people that have long-term success, they stay engaged with their coach on a consistent basis. So do that long-term, lean into the community, and the science is so beyond, amazing. You'll be perfect.
Yeah. All right. How about for you, Stephanie?
I would say life is never going to slow down. There's going to be mornings where you feel motivated and mornings that you just don't feel like it. There's going to be mornings with kid chaos and somebody's missing a shoe and spilling something, and you just got to anticipate that. So I just want to encourage everyone, don't wait for life to calm down. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Build a rhythm right now that works inside your real life, because healthy isn't something that we do when life is convenient. It's who we are becoming in the middle of our real and beautiful and busy life.
So good. So good. So you guys anticipate the ABCs, anticipate, be prepared, see, create, consistency, and repeat what works. Not perfectly, just consistently. That, you guys, is structure. And structure isn't having that perfect schedule. Structure is truly having a plan that you can come back to. So I'm just encouraging you to ask, what do I want this new season to look like? And then create that structure, and that's going to help you live it. And keep coming back here for your weekly reset. If you want tonight's replay, be sure to check out our YouTube page. You can get the replay on our podcast, and then come back next week, because we have our Health Pros Live, where you can actually ask real-time questions to professionals. And we have a special guest, Dr. J, who's the Vice President of Scientific and Clinical Affairs for Trilivy, and she's going to be joining us next week. So bring your questions. Meanwhile, get back to structure, get back to school. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a good evening. Good night.